Have you ever felt like you're your own worst enemy? Like there's a part of you that's constantly working against your best interests? If so, you're not alone. This feeling is something many of us experience, and it has a name: self-sabotage. It's that nagging voice that tells you you're not good enough, or the sudden urge to procrastinate when you're on the verge of success. Self-sabotage is a powerful force that can hold us back from achieving our dreams and living our best lives. But here's the thing, it's not some external enemy we're fighting. It's a part of ourselves, a part that we often don't understand or even recognize. Today we're going to dive deep into this fascinating and often misunderstood aspect of human behavior. We'll explore why we sometimes act in ways that seem to go against our own interests, and more importantly, how we can break free from this self-destructive cycle. This journey of self-discovery isn't always easy, but it's incredibly rewarding. By understanding the roots of self-sabotage, we can start to make real, lasting changes in our lives. To truly understand self-sabotage, we need to talk about a concept that might sound a bit mysterious at first: the shadow self. Don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. In fact, getting to know your shadow self can be one of the most liberating experiences of your life. So what exactly is the shadow self? Imagine it as a part of you that exists just out of sight, like a shadow that follows you around. This shadow contains all the parts of yourself that you've pushed away or tried to ignore. It's home to your fears, your insecurities, and the parts of your personality that you're not so proud of. We all have a shadow self, and it's been with us since childhood. As we grow up, we learn what behaviors are acceptable and what aren't. We're taught to be good and to hide the parts of ourselves that don't fit that image. Over time, these rejected parts of ourselves don't disappear. They just get pushed into our shadow. The thing is, just because we can't see our shadow doesn't mean it's not there. In fact, our shadow self can have a huge influence on our behavior, often without us even realizing it. It's like having a backseat driver that we can't see, constantly trying to grab the wheel. Understanding your shadow self is crucial because it's often the source of self-sabotage. Those doubts, fears, and negative beliefs that hold us back, they're usually coming straight from our shadow. By acknowledging and accepting our shadow, we can start to understand why we sometimes act in ways that seem to go against our own interests. But here's the good news: our shadow isn't all bad. It also contains hidden strengths, creativity, and potential that we haven't tapped into yet. By getting to know our shadow, we can unlock these hidden resources and become more whole, integrated people. Now that we understand the shadow self, let's shine a light on self-sabotage itself. Self-sabotage is like a strange dance we do with ourselves, where one part of us is trying to move forward while another part is constantly tripping us up. Have you ever been really close to achieving a goal, only to suddenly do something that messes everything up? Maybe you had a big presentation at work, but you stayed up late the night before watching TV, leaving you tired and unprepared. Or perhaps you were doing great on a new diet, but then binged on junk food for no apparent reason. These are classic examples of self-sabotage in action. Self-sabotage can show up in many different ways. Sometimes it's obvious, like when we procrastinate on an important task. Other times it's more subtle, like when we downplay our achievements or refuse to take credit for our successes. It can affect every area of our lives, from our careers and relationships to our health and personal growth. One of the trickiest things about self-sabotage is that it often disguises itself as something else. We might think we're just being realistic when we talk ourselves out of pursuing a dream, or we might believe we're protecting ourselves from disappointment when we avoid taking risks. But in reality, these are often just ways that our shadow self tries to keep us in our comfort zone. The real kicker is that self-sabotage usually comes from a place of self-protection. It's our mind's misguided attempt to keep us safe from perceived threats. Maybe we're afraid of success because we don't feel worthy of it. Or perhaps we're scared of failure, so we sabotage our efforts to avoid the pain of trying and not succeeding. Understanding this can be a game changer. When we realize that our self-sabotaging behaviors are actually attempts at self-protection, we can start to approach them with compassion rather than frustration. We can begin to see that these behaviors, as unhelpful as they might be, come from a part of us that's trying its best to keep us safe. But here's the thing. While self-sabotage might have served a purpose in the past, it's often holding us back in the present. It's like an overprotective parent who never lets their child take any risks. Sure, the child might be safe, but they'll never learn, grow, or experience the joys of life. So how do we break free from this cycle? The first step is awareness. Start paying attention to your behaviors and thought patterns. When you notice yourself doing something that goes against your goals or best interests, pause and ask yourself why. What fear or belief might be driving this behavior? Next, try to approach these behaviors with curiosity rather than judgment. Instead of getting angry at yourself for procrastinating, for example, get curious about what's driving that behavior. Are you afraid of failure, unsure of your abilities? By understanding the root cause, you can start to address the real issue. Remember, self-sabotage is not a character flaw or a sign of weakness. It's a normal human behavior that we all experience to some degree. The key is to recognize it, understand it, and then take steps to overcome it. As we continue on this journey of self-discovery, we'll explore more specific strategies for overcoming self-sabotage and integrating our shadow self. We'll look at practical techniques you can use in your daily life to break free from self-destructive patterns and unlock your full potential. The path to overcoming self-sabotage isn't always easy, but it's incredibly rewarding. By understanding and integrating our shadow self, we can stop being our own worst enemy and start being our own best ally. We can learn to work with all parts of ourselves, even the ones we've tried to hide away. This journey of self-discovery and integration is at the heart of many spiritual traditions. It's about becoming whole, accepting all parts of ourselves, and living in alignment with our true nature. As we continue to explore this topic, we'll see how understanding self-sabotage and the shadow self can be a powerful tool for personal growth and spiritual development. Remember, every step you take towards understanding yourself better is a step towards a more fulfilling, authentic life. Even by reading this and thinking about these concepts, you're already starting to shine a light on your shadow and break the cycle of self-sabotage. In the next sections, we'll dive deeper into specific examples of self-sabotage, explore the reasons behind these behaviors, and learn practical strategies for overcoming them. We'll also look at the powerful process of shadow integration and how it can transform our lives. The journey of self-discovery is ongoing, and there's always more to learn and explore. But by starting to understand the concepts of self-sabotage and the shadow self, you've already taken an important first step. You're beginning to see the hidden forces that shape your behavior, and with this awareness comes the power to make real, lasting changes in your life. As we continue, remember to be patient and kind with yourself. Unraveling years of ingrained patterns takes time, but every small step forward is a victory. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem. Each moment of awareness, each time you choose a different response, you're growing and evolving. In our exploration of self-sabotage and the shadow self, we're touching on some of the most fundamental aspects of human psychology and spirituality. These concepts have been studied and discussed by psychologists, philosophers, and spiritual teachers for centuries. From Carl Jung's work on the shadow to modern mindfulness practices, the ideas we're exploring have deep roots and wide-reaching implications. But don't let that intimidate you. At its core, this work is about getting to know yourself better. It's about understanding why you do the things you do and learning how to align your actions with your deepest values and aspirations. It's a journey of self-discovery that can lead to greater self-acceptance, more fulfilling relationships, and a deeper sense of purpose and meaning in life. As we move forward, we'll look at how self-sabotage can manifest in different areas of life. We'll explore how it might show up in your career, your relationships, your health, and your personal growth. By recognizing these patterns in various contexts, you'll be better equipped to spot them in your own life. We'll also delve into the specific fears and beliefs that often fuel self-sabotaging behaviors. Fear of success, fear of failure, feelings of unworthiness. These are common underlying causes that we'll examine in detail. By understanding these root causes, you can start to address them directly rather than just dealing with the surface-level behaviors. But this journey isn't just about identifying problems, it's about finding solutions. We'll explore a range of practical strategies for overcoming self-sabotage and integrating your shadow self. From mindfulness techniques to cognitive behavioral strategies, we'll look at tools you can use in your daily life to break free from self-destructive patterns. We'll also discuss the importance of self-compassion in this process. It's easy to be hard on ourselves when we recognize our self-sabotaging behaviors, but that often just perpetuates the cycle. Learning to approach ourselves with kindness and understanding is a crucial part of the healing process. As we go deeper into these topics, you might find that some of the concepts resonate strongly with you, while others might not feel as relevant. That's completely normal. Everyone's journey is unique, and what's important is finding the insights and strategies that work for you. Remember, the goal isn't to completely eliminate your shadow or to never experience self-sabotage again. These are natural parts of the human experience. Instead, the aim is to develop a healthier relationship with all parts of yourself, to understand your behaviors better, and to have more choice in how you respond to life's challenges. This work can be challenging at times. You might uncover aspects of yourself that are uncomfortable to face. You might realize ways you've been holding yourself back that you weren't aware of before. But with each realization comes an opportunity for growth and positive change. As we continue our exploration, we'll also look at how understanding self-sabotage and the shadow self can enhance your spiritual growth. Many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of self-knowledge and integration. By doing this inner work, you're not just improving your day-to-day life, you're also deepening your spiritual journey. We'll explore how this work can lead to greater authenticity, more fulfilling relationships, and a deeper sense of purpose. When we're not constantly at war with ourselves, we have more energy and clarity to pursue what truly matters to us. We can show up more fully in our relationships, our work, and our communities. Throughout this journey, it's important to remember that growth isn't always linear. You might have times where you feel like you're making great progress, followed by periods where old patterns resurface. This is normal and natural. The key is to approach the process with patience and persistence. As we move forward, we'll also discuss the role of support in this journey. While much of this work is internal, having support can make a big difference. This might come in the form of trusted friends, a therapist, a support group, or a spiritual community. We'll explore how to build a supportive environment that encourages your growth and healing. Remember, by embarking on this journey of understanding self-sabotage and the shadow self, you're taking a powerful step towards personal growth and self-realization. You're choosing to face aspects of yourself that many people spend their lives avoiding. This takes courage, and it's something to be proud of. In the sections that follow, we'll continue to deepen our understanding of these concepts and explore practical ways to apply them in your life. We'll look at exercises you can do to uncover your shadow aspects, techniques for reframing self-sabotaging thoughts, and practices for integrating all parts of yourself. Now that we've explored the concept of self-sabotage and its connection to our shadow self, let's look at some common ways it shows up in our lives. Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards changing them. One of the most prevalent forms of self-sabotage is procrastination. We've all been there. We know we have an important task to complete, but we find every possible reason to put it off. Maybe it's a work project, a difficult conversation we need to have, or even something as simple as starting a new exercise routine. We tell ourselves we'll do it later, that we work better under pressure, or that we need more time to prepare. But deep down, we know we're just avoiding the task. Procrastination often comes from a fear of failure or a fear of success. We might worry that we're not up to the task, so we put it off to avoid facing that possibility. Or we might subconsciously fear that succeeding will bring new challenges or expectations that we're not ready for. By procrastinating, we protect ourselves from these fears, but we also prevent ourselves from growing and achieving our goals. Another common form of self-sabotage is negative self-talk. This is that inner critic that constantly tells us we're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. It's the voice that says, "Why even try? You'll probably fail anyway," or "You don't deserve success." This negative self-talk can be incredibly damaging, eroding our confidence and holding us back from pursuing our dreams. Negative self-talk often stems from beliefs we've internalized over the years, perhaps from childhood experiences or past failures. It's our shadow self's way of trying to protect us from potential hurt or disappointment. But by constantly putting ourselves down, we create a self-fulfilling prophecy. We start to believe these negative messages, and our actions, or lack thereof, reflect this belief. Self-sabotage can also show up in our relationships. We might push away people who care about us, create unnecessary drama, or choose partners who aren't good for us. This could look like picking fights over small issues, being overly critical of our partner, or consistently choosing people who can't meet our needs. These relationship patterns often come from a fear of intimacy or a belief that we don't deserve love. Our shadow self might be trying to protect us from the vulnerability that comes with close relationships, but in doing so, it prevents us from experiencing the deep connection and love we truly desire. In our careers, self-sabotage might look like consistently underselling our skills, turning down opportunities for advancement, or not applying for jobs we're qualified for. We might find ourselves staying in unfulfilling jobs because we don't believe we can do better, or we might sabotage our success by missing deadlines, not preparing adequately for important meetings, or engaging in workplace conflicts. These behaviors often stem from imposter syndrome, the feeling that we're not really as competent as others think we are and that we'll eventually be found out. It's our shadow self's way of trying to keep us safe from the perceived risks of success or the potential for failure in a new role. Self-sabotage can even impact our health and well-being. We might know that we need to eat better, exercise more, or get more sleep, but we consistently make choices that go against these goals. We might binge on junk food after a stressful day, skip workouts even when we have the time, or stay up late scrolling through social media when we know we need rest. These behaviors often come from a place of self-soothing or escapism. Our shadow self might be using these habits as a way to cope with stress or avoid dealing with deeper issues. But in the long run, these choices only add to our stress and prevent us from feeling our best. Another subtle but powerful form of self-sabotage is perfectionism. While striving for excellence can be positive, perfectionism takes this to an unhealthy extreme. Perfectionists often set unrealistic standards for themselves, then feel like failures when they inevitably fall short. This can lead to procrastination as we wait for the perfect time or conditions, giving up on projects before they're finished, or never starting at all out of fear of imperfection. Perfectionism often stems from a deep-seated fear of criticism or rejection. Our shadow self might believe that if we're perfect, we'll be beyond reproach and therefore safe from hurt. But this pursuit of perfection actually holds us back from learning, growing, and achieving our goals. These are just a few examples of how self-sabotage can manifest in our lives. As you read through these, you might recognize some patterns in your own behavior. Remember, the goal isn't to judge yourself for these behaviors, but to bring awareness to them. Awareness is the first step towards change. Now that we've identified some common forms of self-sabotage, let's dive deeper into why we engage in these behaviors. Understanding the root causes can help us approach our self-sabotaging tendencies with more compassion and develop more effective strategies for overcoming them. One of the primary reasons we self-sabotage is fear. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, aren't we afraid of failing? So why would we engage in behaviors that make failure more likely? The answer lies in our complex relationship with fear and the sometimes misguided ways our minds try to protect us. Fear of failure is a common driver of self-sabotage. When we're afraid of failing, we might subconsciously set ourselves up to fail on our own terms. This gives us a sense of control over the situation, If we fail because we procrastinated or didn't try our hardest, we can tell ourselves that we didn't really fail. We just didn't give it our all. This protects our ego from the pain of giving something our best effort and still coming up short. But here's something that might surprise you. Fear of success can be just as powerful a motivator for self-sabotage as fear of failure. Success often brings change, and change can be scary. Success might mean stepping into a new role with more responsibilities, facing higher expectations from others, or dealing with the envy or resentment of peers. Our shadow self might view these potential outcomes as threats and try to protect us by keeping us in our familiar, comfortable, even if unsatisfying current situation. Another common reason for self-sabotage is a deep-seated belief that we're not worthy of success or happiness. This belief often stems from childhood experiences or past traumas. If we grew up in an environment where our achievements were never acknowledged, or where we were made to feel that we didn't deserve good things, we might have internalized these messages. When we don't believe we deserve success or happiness, we might subconsciously create situations that confirm this belief. We might push away loving partners, sabotage job opportunities, or engage in behaviors that undermine our health and well-being. It's as if we're trying to make our outer world match our inner beliefs about ourselves. Low self-esteem plays a significant role in self-sabotage as well. When we don't have confidence in our abilities or value, we're more likely to engage in self-defeating behaviors. We might not apply for that dream job because we're sure we won't get it anyway. Or we might not speak up in meetings because we don't think our ideas are worthwhile. These behaviors then reinforce our low self-esteem, creating a vicious cycle. Sometimes self-sabotage can be a way of maintaining a sense of control. If we're afraid of the unknown or of taking risks, we might subconsciously choose to stay in situations that are familiar, even if they're not ideal. By sabotaging opportunities for change or growth, we maintain the illusion of control over our lives. It's the better the devil you know mentality. Perfectionism, which we touched on earlier, is another common cause of self-sabotage. Perfectionists often have an all-or-nothing mindset. If they can't do something perfectly, they feel it's not worth doing at all. This can lead to procrastination, giving up easily, or never starting projects for fear of imperfection. The irony is that by striving for perfection, they often achieve less than if they had embraced imperfection and simply done their best. Another reason we might self-sabotage is a subconscious desire to prove ourselves right. If we have a belief that relationships never work out for me, or I'm not cut out for success, we might unconsciously create situations that prove these beliefs correct. This is known as confirmation bias. We seek out evidence that confirms our existing beliefs and ignore evidence that contradicts them. Sometimes self-sabotage can be a misguided attempt at self-protection. If we've been hurt in the past, whether in relationships, career setbacks, or other life experiences, we might engage in behaviors that we think will protect us from future pain. For example, we might push people away before they have a chance to reject us, or we might avoid taking on challenging projects to protect ourselves from the possibility of failure. It's also worth noting that sometimes what looks like self-sabotage might actually be a sign that we're on the wrong path. If we consistently procrastinate on work tasks or find ourselves dreading certain aspects of our job, it might be a sign that we're in the wrong career. If we keep sabotaging romantic relationships, it might indicate that we're not ready for a relationship or that we haven't dealt with past relationship traumas. Understanding these underlying reasons for self-sabotage is crucial because it allows us to approach our behaviors with more compassion. Instead of beating ourselves up for procrastinating or pushing people away, we can recognize that these behaviors come from a part of us that's trying to protect us, even if it's doing so in a misguided way. Now that we've explored the concept of self-sabotage and why we engage in it, let's dive deeper into the role of the shadow self in this process. Understanding how our shadow self contributes to self-sabotaging behaviors can be a powerful tool in overcoming them. The shadow self, as we discussed earlier, is the part of our psyche that contains all the aspects of ourselves that we've rejected, repressed, or denied. It's the home of our fears, insecurities, and negative beliefs about ourselves. But it's also where we've hidden away parts of ourselves that we've been taught are unacceptable or undesirable. Our anger, our selfishness, our desire for power or recognition. When it comes to self-sabotage, our shadow self often plays the role of the saboteur. It's the voice in our head that tells us we're not good enough, that we don't deserve success, or that we're bound to fail. It's the part of us that pushes us to procrastinate, to push people away, or to engage in self-destructive behaviors. But here's the thing. Our shadow self isn't trying to hurt us. In its own way, it's trying to protect us. It's operating based on beliefs and experiences from our past, often from our childhood. If we experienced rejection or failure in the past, our shadow self might try to protect us from experiencing that pain again by keeping us from taking risks or putting ourselves out there. For example, let's say you had a parent who was highly critical and never seemed satisfied with your achievements. Your shadow self might have internalized the belief that you're never good enough. Now, as an adult, when you're faced with an opportunity for success, your shadow self might kick into protective mode. It might fuel procrastination or perfectionism, trying to shield you from the potential disappointment or criticism it expects based on your past experiences. Or perhaps you experienced a painful breakup in the past. Your shadow self might now try to protect you from future heartbreak by sabotaging new relationships before they have a chance to become serious. It might make you overly critical of potential partners, push them away when they get too close, or lead you to choose partners who aren't emotionally available. The shadow self also plays a role in maintaining our comfort zone. Even if our current situation isn't ideal, it's familiar. Our shadow self might view change, even positive change, as a threat. It might fuel self-sabotaging behaviors to keep us in our familiar if unsatisfying circumstances rather than risk the unknown. Another important aspect of the shadow self is that it often contains qualities that we've been taught are negative or unacceptable. For instance, in many cultures, qualities like ambition, assertiveness, or a desire for recognition are seen as negative, especially for women. If we've repressed these qualities, pushing them into our shadow, we might find ourselves sabotaging our own success. Our shadow self might fuel behaviors that keep us small and unnoticed, aligning with the belief that it's not okay to stand out or be ambitious. The shadow self also plays a role in our self-image and how we believe others perceive us. If we have a negative self-image hidden in our shadow, we might engage in behaviors that confirm this image. For example, if deep down we believe we're irresponsible, we might consistently miss deadlines or forget important appointments, thereby proving our irresponsibility. It's crucial to understand that the shadow self isn't all negative. It also contains positive qualities that we've repressed or haven't fully acknowledged. Our creativity, our passion, our power, these can all be hidden in the shadow if we've been taught that it's not okay to fully express these parts of ourselves. By understanding the role of the shadow self in our self-sabotaging behaviors, we can start to approach these behaviors with more compassion and insight. Instead of getting frustrated with ourselves for procrastinating or pushing people away, we can recognize that these behaviors are coming from a part of us that's trying to protect us, even if it's doing so in a misguided way. This understanding is the first step towards integration, the process of acknowledging and accepting all parts of ourselves, including our shadow. When we can bring our shadow into the light, examining it with curiosity rather than judgment, we can start to heal the wounds that fuel our self-sabotaging behaviors. Integration doesn't mean that our shadow self disappears. Rather, it means that we become aware of it and learn to work with it rather than being unconsciously controlled by it. We can learn to recognize when our shadow is driving our behavior and make conscious choices about how to respond. For example, when we notice ourselves procrastinating, instead of getting frustrated, we can pause and ask ourselves what we're afraid of. What is our shadow self trying to protect us from? By bringing awareness to these underlying fears or beliefs, we can address them directly rather than letting them drive our behavior unconsciously. Understanding the role of our shadow self in self-sabotage also helps us recognize that these behaviors aren't a sign of weakness or failure. They're a natural part of being human, stemming from our innate desire to protect ourselves from pain. By approaching our shadow with compassion and curiosity, we can start to heal the wounds that drive our self-sabotaging behaviors and move towards a more integrated, authentic way of being. As we continue on this journey of understanding and integrating our shadow self, we'll explore practical strategies for working with our shadow, overcoming self-sabotage, and living more authentically. Remember, this is a process that takes time and patience. Be kind to yourself as you navigate this path of self-discovery and growth. Steps to start integration. Now that we've explored the concepts of self-sabotage and the shadow self, let's look at practical steps we can take to start the process of integration. Integration is about acknowledging and accepting all parts of ourselves, including those we've tried to hide or push away. It's a journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance that can lead to profound personal growth and transformation. The first step in integration is awareness. We need to become conscious of our shadow aspects and how they manifest in our lives. This involves paying close attention to our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, especially those that seem to go against our conscious desires or goals. When you notice yourself procrastinating, pushing people away, or engaging in any self-sabotaging behavior, pause and ask yourself, what's really going on here? What am I afraid of? Journaling can be a powerful tool for increasing self-awareness. Try keeping a daily journal where you record your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Over time, you may start to notice patterns emerging. Pay particular attention to recurring negative thoughts or beliefs about yourself. These often originate from your shadow self. Another important step is to practice self-compassion. As you become more aware of your shadow aspects, it's easy to fall into self-criticism. But remember, your shadow self developed as a way to protect you. Instead of judging yourself harshly, try to approach these discovered aspects with curiosity and kindness. Ask yourself, how has this belief or behavior been trying to help me? What need was it trying to meet? Mindfulness meditation can be a valuable practice for developing both awareness and self-compassion. By learning to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, you can create space between yourself and your reactive patterns. This space allows you to make more conscious choices about how to respond to situations, rather than being driven by unconscious shadow aspects. Another crucial step in integration is to challenge your negative self-talk. When you notice your inner critic speaking up, try to question its assertions. Is there evidence to support this negative belief? Is there another way to look at the situation? By questioning these long-held beliefs, you can start to loosen their hold on you. It can also be helpful to work with a therapist or counselor, particularly one trained in depth psychology or shadow work. A professional can provide guidance and support as you navigate this process of self-discovery and integration. They can help you uncover blind spots and provide tools for working with difficult emotions or memories that may surface. Remember, integration is not about getting rid of your shadow self. It's about acknowledging and accepting all parts of yourself, even those you've previously rejected. As you work towards integration, you might find it helpful to engage in expressive arts like painting, dance, or creative writing. These can be powerful ways to give voice to aspects of yourself that you've previously kept hidden. As we continue on this journey of integration, it's important to understand the profound benefits that can come from this work. While the process can be challenging at times, the rewards are truly transformative. One of the most significant benefits of integration is increased self-awareness. As you become more familiar with all aspects of yourself, including your shadow, you gain a deeper understanding of your motivations, fears, and desires. This self-knowledge is empowering, allowing you to make more conscious choices in your life rather than being driven by unconscious patterns. Integration also leads to greater self-acceptance. When you learn to acknowledge and accept all parts of yourself, even those you've previously rejected, you can develop a more compassionate relationship with yourself. This self-acceptance can lead to increased confidence and a stronger sense of self-worth. Another powerful benefit of integration is improved relationships. As you become more authentic and self-aware, you're better able to communicate your needs and boundaries. You're also more likely to attract relationships that align with your true self, rather than those that match your old, limiting beliefs about yourself. Integration can also lead to increased creativity and personal power. Many of our creative impulses and strengths can be hidden in our shadow. By integrating these aspects, you may find yourself tapping into new sources of inspiration and capability. Moreover, integration can result in reduced anxiety and inner conflict. When you're no longer at war with parts of yourself, you can experience a greater sense of inner peace and wholeness. This doesn't mean you'll never experience difficulty or challenge, but you'll be better equipped to handle life's ups and downs with resilience and grace. Finally, integration can lead to a more fulfilling and authentic life. As you align your outer actions with your inner truth, you may find yourself making choices that truly resonate with your deepest values and desires. This alignment can bring a profound sense of purpose and satisfaction to your life. As we conclude our exploration of self-sabotage, the shadow self, and integration, it's important to remember that this is an ongoing journey. Integration is not a destination we reach, but a process we engage in throughout our lives. Each time we face a challenge or encounter a new aspect of ourselves, we have the opportunity to deepen our self-understanding and grow. The path of integration isn't always easy. It requires courage to look at parts of ourselves we've long avoided or denied. It demands patience as we work to change long-standing patterns. And it calls for compassion as we learn to embrace all aspects of who we are. But the rewards of this journey are immeasurable. By understanding and integrating our shadow self, we can break free from self-sabotaging patterns and step into a more authentic, empowered way of being. We can cultivate deeper, more meaningful relationships. We can tap into hidden strengths and creativity, and we can live with greater purpose and fulfillment. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Whether you're working with a therapist, sharing with trusted friends, or connecting with a supportive community, reach out for support when you need it. And be patient with yourself. Change takes time, and every small step forward is a victory worth celebrating. As you move forward from here, carry with you the understanding that your shadow self is not your enemy, but a part of you waiting to be acknowledged and integrated. Your self-sabotaging behaviors are not character flaws, but misguided attempts at self-protection. With awareness, compassion, and persistence, you can transform these patterns and create a life that truly reflects your whole, integrated self. May your journey of self-discovery and integration be rich with insight, growth, and transformation. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, but a more authentic, conscious way of being. Embrace the journey, with all its challenges and rewards, and trust in your capacity for growth and change. You have within you everything you need to overcome self-sabotage and live a life of greater authenticity, purpose, and joy.